The flames roared, swallowing the garage in a crimson inferno. My paralyzed son, trapped inside, was fighting for his life. The woman who started it all stood across the street, her smile cold as ice. Margaret Hensley, our HOA president, thought she held all the power in Willow Creek. She didn't know I was more than a tired father. I was a retired colonel with connections that could move mountains. I didn't wait for permission. I tore through the fire to save my boy, and then I made sure she faced the consequences. This isn't just a story about a petty neighborhood tyrant. It's about what happens when evil pushes a quiet man too far. We moved to Willow Creek 6 months ago, chasing the promise of a peaceful suburban life. The kind of place with neat lawns, friendly barbecues, and kids riding bikes until dusk. My son, Tommy, was 10, paralyzed from the waist down after a car accident that took his mother. Despite his challenges, he was a force of nature. Every day at 4 p.m., he wheeled himself to the community garage, his sanctuary. He called it Hangar 1, a workshop filled with model airplanes he built with scraps and dreams. His latest project, a P-51 Mustang replica, was so detailed it could have fooled a pilot. Tommy would rattle off specs: wingspan, horsepower like a seasoned engineer. "Legs don't make a pilot, Dad," he'd say. "Heart does." I believed him. I kept a low profile, driving an old Ford pickup and wearing faded flannel. Neighbors saw me as a grieving contractor, not the man who'd once led covert missions in Fallujah. My military past was locked away, my clearance a secret. But from the moment we settled in, I felt eyes on us. Margaret Hensley, early 50s, with a sharp bob and a wardrobe straight out of a country club, was the neighborhood's queen. She didn't knock on our door to welcome us. She watched, her gaze as cold as the clipboard she carried like a weapon. On the 5th day, she appeared on our porch, her heels clicking like a countdown. "Mr. Caldwell," she said, her voice dripping with false warmth. "We value harmony in Willow Creek. That ramp you built for your sonnet's an eyesore." She gestured at the sturdy metal slope I'd installed for Tommy. My jaw tightened. "It's how my son gets in and out of his home." Her smile didn't waver. "Perhaps something less industrial? And special needs children can strain community resources." I stepped closer, my voice low. "My son builds planes while other kids break windows. He's more valuable than your rules." For a moment, her mask slipped, revealing something vicious. "This is my neighborhood," she hissed. I shut the door, but I knew she'd just drawn a battle line. The war escalated quietly. One afternoon, I watched Tommy wheel to the garage, his toolkit balanced on his lap. He was adding decals to his Mustang, humming a tune. Then I saw Margaret storm across the street, a hammer in her hand. By the time I reached the garage, it was over. Tommy sat frozen, his plane shattered across the concrete. Margaret stood over the wreckage, hammer raised. "These war toys glorify violence," she declared to the neighbors peeking from their windows. "They don't belong here." Tommy's voice broke. "Why, Dad?" I faced her, fists clenched. "You smashed a disabled boy's dream." She smirked. "Your kind doesn't fit in Willow Creek." The crowd stayed silent, but I saw shame in their eyes. Margaret walked away, victorious. She didn't stop. She started watching Tommy's every move, snapping photos from behind her roses, leaving notes about unauthorized garage use. New HO rules ban minors from shared spaces without supervision, a clear attack on Tommy. One night, I found a recorder hidden near our mailbox, its red light blinking. I slept in shifts, my old instincts kicking in. I knew Margaret wasn't just enforcing rules, she was hunting us. October 12th was the day she went too far. Tommy was in the garage, working on a new model, a B-17 he called Sky King. He'd figured out a hand-controlled rotor system, a design that could help disabled pilots fly. At 3:45 p.m., I was on a secure call with the Pentagon, discussing a classified operation. Across the lawn, Margaret moved in. She approached Tommy with a fake smile. "There's a gas leak," she lied. "We need to clear the garage." Tommy hesitated. "Should I call Dad?" She shook her head, stepping inside and shutting the door. She poured gasoline from cans she'd hidden, the fumes choking Tommy. He tried to wheel back, but she blocked the door with wooden planks. Military families always cause trouble, she sneered. This is just cleaning house. Tommy shouted, Mayday. Pile it down. She ignored him, struck a match, and flames exploded across the floor. Tommy pressed against the wall, clutching his stuffed plane, whispering B-17 specs to stay calm. Outside, Margaret watched, her face calm. At 4:20 p.m., my neighbor Mrs. Larson called. Outside, neighbors screamed. Sirens wailed. Then I saw her, Margaret, filming the blaze, smiling like she'd won. Rage took over. I set Tommy with Mr. Hayes, climbed into the UTV, and floored it. Margaret didn't move, certain I wouldn't dare. She was wrong. I hit her just hard enough to send her sprawling into her prized azaleas, her phone skidding across the pavement. I crushed it under my boot. She moaned, crawling, but I zip-tied her wrists and slit the blackout hood over her head. You tried to burn my son, I growled. She spat. You're nothing but a thug. I leaned in. I'm a father. That's enough. The air shook as Blackhawks descended, my old unit arriving. A captain saluted. Colonel Caldwell, you good? I pointed to Margaret. She's the one. They hauled her to a chopper, her screams fading. Neighbors spoke up. Mr. Jenkins, a Vietnam vet, said. She watched the fire, smiling. Mrs. Carter added. She filmed it. The crowd turned on her, their silence broken. Margaret faced justice swiftly. Federal agents uncovered her emails, threats against veterans, and a folder labeled Problem Residents. She was charged with attempted murder, hate crimes, and violations of the Military Family Protection Act, a law I'd helped write. Her trial was a spectacle, her smug facade crumbling under video evidence of her walking away from the flames. She got 60 years, no parole. As they led her away, I whispered, you picked the wrong family. A year later, we rebuilt the garage, now Hangar 2. Tommy designed a jet for disabled pilots, catching the Air Force's attention. His scars lingered, flinching at loud noises, checking exits, but his smile returned. We were invited to a Pentagon ceremony, where Tommy spoke to a packed room. I'm 10, he said. Someone tried to burn me because I love planes. But pilots don't need legs. They need grit. And my dad? He's my wingman. The room erupted. The Secretary of Defense offered him a role in a new adaptive flight program. Tommy grinned. Ready, ma'am. Back home? Tommy asked. Does she ever look up from her cell and think of me? I shook my head. No, son. But you? You're the sky now. Margaret's rain exposed the rot in Willow Creek, but it also revealed its heart. Tommy didn't just survive, he soared. What do you think? Was I right to take justice into my own hands, or did I go too far? Have you ever faced a bully who hid behind rules to hurt others? Share your thoughts below. Let's talk about violence, injustice, and standing up for what's right. Your voice matters.